we engage in exchange of prisoners during an armed conflict.
Stephen Hayes, columnist for the Weekly Standard. Good morning to you, Steve.
Morning, Bill.
If the administration wanted to wave the flag on this, it seems to have backfired. If you listen to all the talk this morning and yesterday on Sunday, what are your main questions on this now?
Well, I think it certainly has backfired, at least initially. I mean, if you look at the kind of responses that you're getting from the people who served alongside Bowe Bergdahl and the questions that they're raising about the circumstances that led to his departure from his unit. There are questions about Qatar as a recipient country for these 5 Taliban, high-ranking Taliban commanders. You had a case where senior Senate Democrats had opposed the transfer of these 5 specifically precisely because they were so dangerous. And now the administration has gone ahead without consulting Congress, without giving them the 30-day notification that was required by the NDAA. There are lots of questions. I suspect we're going to learn many more questions in the coming days.
And what about the homecoming of the 5 detainees in Qatar? I mean, how do you keep them from joining the battle yet again?
Well, you do. The first thing to be said is they're going to be able to raise a ton of money. The fact that Mullah Omar, the head of the Afghan Taliban, was out with a statement hailing their release, calling it a victory for jihadists, for the Mujahideen, I think already enables them to raise additional funds to help their cause in Afghanistan, Pakistan, and elsewhere. I think it's going to be a huge problem, and there's very little likelihood that they're going to be kept off the battlefield. On another network this morning, the former head of the National Counterterrorism Center, Michael Leiter, said that he thought it was very, very likely that they would be back in battle within a year. That's got to be troubling for anybody who's fighting against the Taliban or who's directing our efforts against al-Qaeda more broadly.
So you just heard from Jay Carney. Susan Rice was out yesterday. The administration will tell you we had to move. A question of health for Bowe Bergdahl, a question of time. Mike Rogers says he knew of the UBL raid months in advance. He was in the loop. So how does the administration handle these questions now?
Well, I think they're going to have to answer them in a forthright manner, although I don't expect that they'll do so. We'll have to learn a lot more about the status of Bowe Bergdahl's health in recent days. We know that the administration has been working for the better part of 3 years to secure this release and engaged in specific negotiations via Qatar and the Emir of Qatar with the Taliban, specifically about this swap. So if they've been talking about it for 3 years, what intelligence did they have that told him he was in such ill health now that they had to act now? Had his health deteriorated? I think we'll learn a lot more about that in the coming days.
All right, Steve, thanks. Stephen Hayes teeing it up for us in Washington on a Monday morning. Thank you, Steve. Good to have you back here. Mark.
Thanks, Bill.
Well, let's talk about these 5 Gitmo detainees who were traded for Sergeant Bowe Bergdahl's freedom. They're described as some of the most dangerous and brutal Guantanamo Bay has to offer.